Kat and Iniba, and welcome to Halo Halo, your top entertainment and lifestyle show for Asian Pacific Americans. For the entire month of May, we have been spotlighting a ton of filmmakers from our APA community and also showcasing their short films. Joining us today is Jon Moy and Lawrence Gan, filmmakers who have come together to create a short film titled 6 from Certain, which we will air right here on the show. But first, let's get to know them a little bit more. Welcome, guys.
Hey,
thank you so much for being here today. Lawrence, thank you for coming back.
Of course, yeah.
Jon, I'm going to start with you. I want to know how you started into filmmaking.
I started into filmmaking because I was bored of studying law in college, or pre-law, and I just had a lot of free time on my hands, wanted to, and I'd always been interested in music videos.
Right.
Especially when I was growing up, Brandy's The Boy's Mine was like my favorite one. And so I was like, this is awesome, we gotta keep doing this kind of thing. So I made a lot of music videos in college.
Right.
And then around that time, like YouTube came out and a lot of things were sort of like moving forward for the independent filmmaker. And so after a brief couple of years in Chicago, I was like, let's just move to LA and like do this full time.
Right. And then Lawrence, how did you start?
Well, I wasn't studying law. But
wait, did you say you were studying
law?
law?
I was, yeah.
This guy's even smarter than I am.
Oh my gosh, this is interesting. Okay.
So in similar fashion, wanted to basically break away from the typical, I guess, Asian career, if you will.
Right.
And came out to Los Angeles like with 2 other friends, and basically just jumped right into grabbing coffees and lunches and kind of worked our way up from there.
Yeah, from neuroscience to law, was it because of your parents that you studied these subjects, or was it you had a passion for that but more passion for filmmaking?
For me, I actually just kind of did that because my parents have always been really supportive of whatever I did, but like at an early age, they always told me artists don't make money because I think they didn't know that they could. Yeah. So thankfully, I have really supportive parents, so they've always been really cool about me doing that. They still worry, of course, because you know, I'm not like the most successful filmmaker yet, since I haven't made big blockbusters. But at this point, they're really supportive.
Yeah. How about you, Lawrence?
Yeah, same thing. Like my parents were quite adamant about me getting a degree in something other than filmmaking.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Parents are.
Yeah, I was gonna say my parents were the same thing.
It's their job to worry.
Yeah, it is their job to worry. They'll find something else to worry about.
Yeah. And so, of all the things you could study, or I could study at school, like the human brain was probably at the top of the list as far as what was the most interesting. Wow. And so, I don't know, I haven't used it yet, so we'll see if we can use it in a movie one day or something.
You guys...
Someday.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
It may be in a movie, maybe some character, right? Yeah. Now, you guys have an interesting story about how you met. I want to know a little bit more, because you're not from Connecticut, but you're from Connecticut. Yeah.
Well, so Lawrence has always moved around. I grew up in Connecticut, which is very boring in some aspects. So what happens was, since we were both going to college elsewhere, Lawrence's parents happened to move to a small Chinese church during the time that we were both graduated from college very recently. And during one of our visits, they got us together because I think we're the only 2 people that they knew that were like studying this, like that wanted to be filmmakers. So they're like, oh, you guys are both really weird. You guys should get together. And so we're like, okay, cool. And so after that, like a couple years down the line, I moved to LA, and then Lawrence was like one of the people that I knew that was actually here doing it. And so I was like, okay, let's like meet up. And since then, he's been like a real mentor to me, and like that really helped me, and just been a good friend. Yeah,
and ever since then, you guys have worked together. I mentioned that you did a short film called 6 from Certain. Was that the first film that you guys worked on together?
No, I think our very first film was actually shot like a commercial spot together, right? But we did other films prior to 6 from Certain as well, like some serial pilots, if you will, and then a couple after.
We basically, it started out first of like, you know, when you're doing independent filmmaking, you could do everything by yourself, but it's much easier to bounce ideas off of people and also just to have help with all the things that go into it. So a lot of times I would be calling Lawrence up like, I have this idea, like let's do this, and then he'd say, I'm really busy right now, like stop bothering me. But eventually,
Lawrence. Just kidding.
Eventually, I would coax him into doing things, and so there were a lot of times that we would like, he would have an idea, and then so we'd shoot that, or like I'd have an idea and I'd shoot that.
Yeah.
But at some point, we were like, hey, we really like connect a lot on the kinds of just perspectives that we have, and so we were like, let's just do one together. The reason why Six from CERN came up was because I worked with visual communications, their Armed with the Camera fellowship. I got into that, and they were like, hey, we want you to make a film, and I was like, but I could make it with Lawrence, right? So let me like bring him in, and we sort of went from there.
Okay, so the story, was it just both of you sitting down and getting together, or did you kind of have an idea and say, hey, Lawrence, what do you think about this?
I came up with the initial story and the idea because, and then I proposed it to Lawrence, and I think like we connected over it because, you know, as people will see, the film is very much about being ready to fall in love. And I think at the time, me and Lawrence were under a lot of unsaid pressure from different people about falling in love. I mean, we were at the age where everyone was getting married. Like, part of the reason why Lawrence was so busy was because he was at weddings like every other weekend, and like out of state. So I'm just like, where are you going? And at the same time, the weddings or the weekends that he wasn't going to weddings, I was going to weddings. So all our friends were getting married, and sort of that like unsaid pressure of like, what about you? Like, aren't you going to do this? And I think like part of that was responding to this idea of like, that's cool for your timeline. We're really happy for those people, but like at the same time, don't tell me how to live my life. Like love has to be organic, and yet we receive so many different messages, right? We receive it from like pop culture, we receive it from our friends, our family, and even like yourself. Like you hear these things, and then you start hearing like voices like, oh, well, am I gonna be alone forever, or like, or do I want to do this kind of thing, and like how come I'm not meeting people? So it kind of came out of that, and once I had that idea, we kind of played with a bunch of different scenarios and finally came up where we came out.
I really like this short film, and I can't wait to air it right here on Halo Halo. But for more info on you guys, where can we go?
We both have Vimeo pages. So my Vimeo handle is LAWALAW, like Vimeo's like website basically. So you can see the shorts and pieces that I do there.
Yeah, and then John.
Yeah, my Vimeo page is just Jon Moy, JONMOY.
Okay, thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing your short film on the show.
Sure, thank you for having us.
Again, for more information on Jon Moy and Lawrence Gan, all you have to do is check out the websites on your screen. Don't go anywhere because Six from CERN will be aired right here after the break.